hope you're well and having the most incredible day. As always, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be going through what I read in January. I actually had a pretty decent reading month. I'm not gonna lie, I'm filming this on the 28th of January because I have quite a busy month of Feb, especially on the Saturdays that I normally film, so I need to kind of get ahead of the game. You guys don't really care, but anyway, that is the situation. And the book that I'm finishing at the moment, I am over 70% of the way through, so I probably would finish that in January. However, I'm gonna just include it in February's because January, I think I smashed it. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. I nearly read 10, so 9 books. I'm really happy with that, especially considering in December I think I read like 4. I'm really impressed with my overall, I'm gonna give myself an overall score of 9. I think that's really great. So I am gonna go through all my book piles falling over. 1 second. So essentially what I'm going to do is go through all the books I read in January, giving you my thoughts and opinions, my score out of 5 as always, and I feel like I've also got quite a nice mix of genre. I say that, a lot of it's dark romance, not gonna lie. Well, actually it's not. No, it's not. It's romance and a thriller-ish. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I'm gonna go through them all. I am so excited to share with you what I've read, so grab yourselves a coffee and a snack and let's dive into my what I read in January because I'm very excited. Let's go. So the first book I read in January was Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. I am so gutted and heartbroken that I have finished this series because I am obsessed with it. I'm not gonna lie, I read this on my Kindle because I am obsessed with reading on my Kindle. I literally have it right here. Spoiler alert for my first book of February because it's on the screen. But I absolutely love reading on my Kindle, and I do essentially for my Kindle, a lot of the books I download I already own in physical copy, but it's just easier and more convenient to read them on the go. And especially a book that's this big, it's over 500 pages. I didn't want to damage the spine. I know that sounds really lame, but I just really didn't want to ruin this book because this series holds such a special place in my heart because I absolutely loved it. It was so incredibly good. This one is the 4th one in the series. So Twisted Lies is basically about, without giving too many spoilers by the way, I'm going to try my best, it's basically about Stella and Christian. And Stella is an influencer on Instagram. She wants to reach 1 million followers, but she's been stuck at like 900 and something for a really long time. So she has the idea of essentially getting a fake boyfriend to kind of spike her Instagram. And Christian is the guy who owns her building. He's incredibly rich and successful, and he's incredibly mysterious, and like this is definitely like a grumpy sunshine vibe. He is the grumpy for sure. However, you do see him in one of the previous books, which I really enjoyed. You kind of get to know all the other characters really briefly. I don't really know how to describe it without giving it away, but basically they kind of decide to do a fake dating thing because he needs dates to go on, to go to like all these functions and things, so he doesn't get like set up on dates and stuff. And essentially it's like how they kind of grow to, I don't want to give it away. You kind of know what's going to happen. Feelings are there, things happen. It's so good. I absolutely loved it. This one was a 5-star, obviously. I don't really want to say much more about it without giving it away because it's just such a good book. I absolutely am in love with this series. I am so heartbroken that I have finished it now. If you guys need a good series to read, if you want something that's easy, something with a bit of spice but not mega spicy, but with romance and kind of that kind of vibe, it's so good. Did I just say it's a 5-star? I think I just did. But I got all of mine from did I get them from the works or did I get them from Amazon? I think I got them from Amazon. They're around £6 to £7. You can get them in the works for about £6 each. Incredible. They are also on Kindle Unlimited, obviously for free, so if you want to do it that way you can. Incredible series, in love with it. I'm gonna stop talking about it now because I've been recording for 8 minutes about this, so let's move on to the next one. So it turns out that I'm not finished. I actually forgot to say that I loved the ending of this book because it concluded each book so perfectly. They all kind of come together because essentially it's about 4 best friends and all these guys, so it kind of ties them all together at the end, and it was so perfect and beautiful and I absolutely loved it. So anyway, now I'm moving on, I promise. Let's move to the next one. The next 3 books I read were part of like a series. I suppose they're not kind of connected, you can read these in any order, but that is the 3 books by Emily McIntyre, which I got for Christmas. I binged these within like 4 or 5 days, all of them. They were absolutely incredible. So we have Hooked, Scarred and Wretched. Wretched, I don't even know, but they are so good. So let's go through each one briefly. So let's start off with Hooked. So I absolutely love this. This is a Peter Pan style. It says at the start of the books they're not retelling, so it's not about the story of Peter Pan. Essentially what it is, it's the characters of Peter Pan and kind of the places in Peter Pan that are used in this book. It's the same with the other two. They're kind of similar but not, if that makes sense. So you're reading as James and Wendy, and James is obviously Captain Hook. It's very dark in places, I will say. Like, some of the parts of this book are very, very dark and very like there are scenes of like kidnap and like murdering, killing, that kind of vibe. It is quite hard to read, but if you like that kind of thing, it's not, if that makes sense. Like, it's not that bad, but be warned, it is in this book if you don't like that kind of thing. But it's a really good book. I'm not going to say much about it other than like it is a dark romance. Like, there is a lot of spice in this book as well as like dark aspects, but it is so good. The plot twists, incredible. This again was a 5-star read. I'm just going to double check though because I actually cannot remember. Did I give it 5 stars? Yes, I did. I loved it, so good. The next one was Scarred. This one is about Tristan and Sarah. Again, it's a very slight retelling, but not, of The Lion King. It's such a good book. If you've seen The Lion King, you know how it kind of starts and ends, and you know that really sad scene, and it is based on that, but it's so good. This one again was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. Again though, this one has dark places. It's got a lot of spice and a lot of that kind of stuff, so if you don't like that in books, you will not like this. I loved it. Incredible. And then the third one was, is it Wretched? Wretched. I'm not too sure. This one is The Wizard of Oz. So this one I actually feel like is the one that I couldn't remember as much. I literally just had to quickly read the back because I couldn't remember what happened. This one was a 5-star as well. Let me just check to see what I actually said about this one. I put that it is a very, very slow burn at the start. It took me a lot longer to finish this one than it did to finish the other two and kind of get into it. I don't think it's that much bigger than the others either. It is actually smaller than Scarred, so yeah, I don't know why it took me much longer, but the ending of this one was actually really good. And again, you learn to love the characters you should hate, and I kind of feel like that's the same in all these books. Like, you should not like these characters, but you do, and you love the ending. It was really, really good. Again, did I say it's a Wizard of Oz kind of characters? And if I didn't, it's a Wizard of Oz inspired book, but it's so good. And again, I read these thinking like, how would they relate to the Wizard of Oz? But again, it's more the characters. Like, I think there's like a pub or a strip club or something in this called like the Yellow Brick or something. Like, they kind of relate to that sort of thing. Like, it's not a direct retelling of the story. It is just inspired characters and stuff. But yeah, a 5-star read. I did enjoy that one as well. If you guys didn't know, me and my friend Kelsey started a book club this year where we each picked 6 books for throughout the year, and then we've put them for 1 per month, if that makes sense. So my pick was January, and I picked It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be, it's definitely a Marmite thing, like a Marmite subject to talk about, so I do just want to say that, but also I just didn't love it. I was really disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like this book was just blah. The only thing about this book that I loved is I actually figured I do enjoy reading a hardback. That was like the only thing. Let me just check to see what I actually gave this one because I can't remember. So yeah, so I gave this one 3 stars, and essentially I put very blah. Nothing really happened what I didn't expect, but I loved Atlas and Josh's story in this. So if you guys have read it, you'll know what I mean. The Atlas side of this story was really good, really unexpected, but the rest of it was just so predictable, and like, you kind of expected that to happen anyway, whether you read this or not. You sort of assumed that was going to happen. So I just felt like it was very unnecessary. It was very, just, you don't need to read it, essentially. It's just a bit boring. I hate to say it. It was, yeah, disappointing, not gonna lie. The next book I read was Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is part of the Dirty Air series, and I actually sat down the other day to kind of calculate how many book series I've started. and not finished. That would be 5 or 6, I think. And I feel like, let me just check actually, how many book series have I started not finished? 5. And I feel like for 2023, I really want to focus on finishing the series I've started, like ACOTAR, Shatter Me, this one, like I have so many. So I feel like over the next few months, I might not have such a large amount of books in my what I read, because I need to finish ACOTAR, and some of those books are humongous. It concerns me. So yeah, I might just like, I don't know, give myself 2 weeks to read them or something. But yeah, Throttled, Lauren Asher, Dirty Air series, absolutely obsessed with this book. So Throttled by Lauren Asher. Now let's dive in. Okay, so this is about Maya and Noah. Also, there is a lot of Noahs in books, I've noticed. But anyway, Maya and Noah. Noah is a Formula 1 driver, which I absolutely loved that element to this book. I love the Formula 1 aspect. I think it was just so, it just made me obsessed. I loved it. The ending of this book, I would say, is very obvious. It's very expected, but I enjoyed that, which was weird. I just, you know it's coming, but it was just really heartwarming and I absolutely loved it. This was a 5-star read for me, if you couldn't guess already. I just really enjoyed it. I did actually, again, read this one on my Kindle because for some reason I just didn't enjoy like the white pages. Is that weird? It just wasn't my favourite. And also I will say that this copy of the book, I actually did get it on Amazon, and the print is just not great. Like it doesn't, do you know what I mean? Like that doesn't line up properly. I don't know, it's just me being picky, but I don't love it. So I read it on my Kindle and I got through it so quickly. I will say that my Kindle has been a godsend to helping me get through books really quickly because I can put it in my bag. I can literally read it at night time without having to have a light on. It's just so convenient and really easy to use, and I love that. But yeah, another 5-star read. Essentially, this is about Maya. Her brother is a Formula 1 driver, and obviously Noah is a part of his team, and she starts to get to know Noah, and it goes from there really. It's not really, there's not too much depth to this book. I feel like there's not many plot twists or anything. It is just essentially like a brother's best, well, it's not brother's best friend, it's like brother's enemy to lovers. Loved it. Obsessed. The next book is one which my friend Kelsey bought me for my birthday / Christmas, and that is Layla by Colleen Hoover. Now, I feel like I read this one because I just wanted an easy read, like, and I feel like when I first started getting into reading, Colleen Hoover books made me read really, really quickly. So I wanted to start the year off by trying to get as many books read as I could. So I went for Layla. Now, it is not what I expected whatsoever, and I don't know how I feel about it. Let me just see how many stars I gave it. So I gave this one 4 stars, and essentially what I wrote was, wow, okay, this wasn't what I expected at all. I found the start a little slower than other Colleen Hoover books, but the ending was perfect. So essentially what this book is about, you have Layla and Leeds, and they meet at Layla's sister's wedding. He is in the function band that plays at the wedding, and he sees her dancing. I don't initially love the way they meet because she's in the pool and like dancing around, and it's like an instant like make-out sesh. And I just think that's weird, like that wouldn't happen. So I didn't particularly like that, and it was just a very odd read. I gave it 4 stars, and I think that's quite generous because it's not my favourite book, but I loved how it was just not what I expected. But basically something happens to Layla after they meet, and they go back to the bread and breakfast which they met at, and there's just a lot going on. So I did really enjoy it. Again, I gave it 4 stars, but it was just, it makes your cogs turn a little bit, and it is a bit of a weird one. So yeah, I did enjoy it. Probably wouldn't read it again, I don't think. Well, I don't know, maybe I will. Not sure. The next book I read was My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. Now, there is a lot of Marmite vibes about this book, and I feel like I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I really, really liked the kind of spice element. I liked the kind of the connection between the characters. I would say it was very quick. It's a very quick, instant like situation. However, I do think that I wish there was more about the actual killer vacation part without giving it away. So essentially, without giving this away, Taylor and her brother go and stay in Cape Cod somewhere to have like a vacation, and this isn't a spoiler because you literally find out within the first like 3 pages. Taylor opens the door to the laundry room and finds a dead body. So instantly it's a crime scene. They have to go to a different house, and the family of the person who was killed actually hires a bounty hunter to try and find the killer. Taylor sticks her nose in. Miles, the bounty hunter like starts an obsession. It's all a bit bizarre, but it's a really good book and I really enjoyed it. I found it very, very quick to read as well. I think it doesn't even have 300 pages, so it's a really quick book. I think I read this over a weekend, and I just really loved it. So yeah, a 5-star read. Loved that one. And the last book I read in January was Lies Like Poison by Chelsea Pitcher. Now, I had such incredible high hopes for this book because it says on the front, for fans of One of Us is Lying. You guys know that book is just one of my favourites. I loved it. This book was just bizarre. Firstly, it was in third person. Hate that. Like, that just instantly makes me just like hate the book. Also, it goes back and forth in time, which confused me immensely because they didn't, like, at the beginning of a chapter, for example, like, let me show you, like, each chapter has like a really nice like title, I guess, rather than it being like chapter 3. It's just named I Will Not Lose You Again, for example. But it goes back and forth in time, but it doesn't indicate at the top of the chapter at what point in time you were reading from, so it just makes it very confusing. You don't know, like, I had to read about 3 lines before I really understood what was going on in that chapter because they just didn't indicate it, which just confused me a lot. So that was one thing I didn't like about the book. Obviously, I also didn't enjoy the fact it was in third person. That just doesn't, I just don't like that. So I gave this book 2 stars, which I feel like is quite harsh, but it was just, like, I got to the end of the book and I was just a bit like, is that it? Do you know what I mean? Like, essentially what this is about is it's about 3 kids who plan the perfect murder. They don't go ahead with it, but they plan it out, and then years later, essentially the person they plan to kill gets killed in the same way they were going to do it originally. So one of those kids goes into prison because they think that they've done it. The other 2 are kind of trying to figure out what's been going on, and it's just, there's a lot happening. The person who actually did it, it was just boring. Like, there was no, wow, that was a shock. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Wouldn't recommend it. Didn't enjoy it. Which is a shame because I had such high hopes for this book. But yeah, we ended January on a bit of a downer, but never mind. It's been read now and I will never read it again. So those are all of the books that I read throughout January. I would love to know down below what books you got through. I am currently reading, is it Credence by Penelope Douglas? I've got so many thoughts about this book, which I won't go into now because I haven't finished it, but I just cannot, I don't get it. Anyway, we're going to talk about that in February. So let me know what you guys have read down below. I would love to know, and any recommendations based on the books that I love, I would love to know as well. And I always leave my Amazon wishlist down below if you guys want to check out what books I want to buy. It is mammoth. It's huge. So do have a look on there and let me know any thoughts and opinions. But yes, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.